Games Catching Fire. Welcome to our guests. Before I introduce all our guests individually and kick things off, just a very quick bit of etiquette. I'll kick things off in a second. My name's Dave Calhoun, I'm hosting the press conference. I'll kick things off after a question or two. Tiny bit of etiquette, if you could please put your hand up, state who you are when you're asking a question. Please try and keep the questions as brief as possible so we can get around the room. And if you can try and ask just one question each per go, that would be fantastic. Thank you, all five of our guests. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the new film, Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Thank you.
I think anyone who's seen it will agree it's a pretty powerful and intense film, which I've just seen this morning. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce our guests along the line first. First, we have Jeffrey Wright, who's new to the series, playing Beatty. Then we have Josh Hutcherson, who's very much not new to the series, returning again as Peter Mellick. Next along the line, we have Liam Hemsworth, welcome, playing Gail Hawthorne again. Next we have...
Same character.
Sam Claflin, new to the series, playing Finnick Adair. And returning to the series as well, we have Stanley Tucci, once again playing Caesar Flickerman. Thank you very much. Thank you, welcome all of you. Quick question from me, a question really to any or to all of you to pick up on. It'd be great to hear from all of you if possible. I mean, as I said, it's an incredibly powerful, intense film. It's set in this parallel fantasy world, but it does have many nods to our own in terms of surveillance, reality TV, politics, how governments work, how people react to governments. I was wondering what you all feel, those that are new to the film, those who have been in the series before. What do you think it is about the film in terms of the ideas and the themes it explores that really does resonate with audiences, that really does make it, that makes it more than just a thrilling entertainment?
I think for me it resonates on a lot of levels. I think not only is it a very relevant theme with the elements of the politics and the idea of kind of people coming together and rising up against something, but also with the characters themselves. Katniss is a very unlikely hero, and I think that it's something that people can identify with, because you see a lot of times in movies a character that's a hero and they have this golden moral and they have this higher calling, and for me, I really feel like Katniss is one that doesn't necessarily want the rebellion. She doesn't really know how to handle her feelings and her emotions with the whole situation. So it's kind of a stepping out of the normal archetype of characters, and I think that's really interesting for people.
Anybody else like to pick up on that?
I disagree.
I thought you would.
I think it's everybody's worst fear, isn't it? I mean, to live in a society like this, and to live in a dictatorial society, or under an oppressive regime, and have your life and your children manipulated in such an awful way. So I think it makes us happy in a weird way to go see our worst fears realized in the cinema, which is one of the reasons it exists. But also, I think that there's nothing gratuitous in these stories. They're very much about the people. There's a truthfulness to them. The violence isn't gratuitous. There's no sexual gratuitous, although there should be. No. But, stuff like that. So I think for that reason, it resonates very, very strongly they resonate very strongly as pieces of film, and in particular for people of a certain age.
Anybody else?
I think as well there's an accessibility to the story, to the storytelling, and that it's nonpartisan and kind of non-discriminatory. And so I think what I've found in speaking to fans as we've been touring around is that people have a very honest, very personal connection to these stories, but they're for very different reasons. You may have someone who's politically left-leaning who feels a sense of connection to this kind of 1%er relative to the 99%er argument that's laid out. Then you have someone who's right-leaning in the States who may see it as like kind of a Second Amendment idea, the right to bear arms and stand up to the tyranny of government. So it's really fascinating that Suzanne Collins has written this kind of universal world that allows the reader to step in and claim a space within it. But at the same time, you have all of these kind of the social commentary. You have the political commentary as well. But they're very simple themes, though, that, as Josh was saying, that Katniss is a heroine for, and it really relates to security and home and love and these things that are that we can all kind of relate to in very meaningful ways. So it's complex, but it's simple.
Accessible.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to open things up, and I'm going to set up 3 questions so we can get around the room as quickly as possible. There'll be a question here, a question there, and then a question here. Please do wait for the microphone, and I'll set up some more, please.
Hi there, it's Dad from Kids Call It. I've got a question for Josh and Liam from my 9-year-old son who's recently just watched the first film. Okay, he would like to know, out of the 2 of you, in real life, if Jennifer was to pick one of you as a boyfriend, which one of you would win? And
You're going to
why?
ask this question.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
He's going for a
I'm
boyfriend-girlfriend
also
stage.
very happy that you've asked it. I'm glad we get to go down this road right now. Do you want to start it off? You said some interesting things about me earlier on.
I sure did. You're right about that. I think she would choose Liam. I do. Do you want me to argue why? Or?
Yeah, why?
Well, he's Australian, which for me is
Not a good start.
well, you're a criminal.
Yeah. You're an alcoholic criminal.
It's perfect. Who doesn't want alcoholic criminal? No, there's so many reasons why I should choose Liam and not me. Self-confidence being one of them, obviously. I have so much. No.
Jen and Josh share a bond that is pretty unlike.
It's brother and sisterly, really. So then that opens up the door. That's the answer.
We're all like brother and sister.
We're like brother and sister.
It's a big happy family.
He said you'd do that, the brother and sister thing.
Yeah, now it's incestuous.
Yeah, I'm from Kentucky.
We're all family.
It's all good.
Well, thank you very much. The next question was straight over there. If you just get the microphone. Thank you very much.
Hi, Tim Oglethorpe, freelance writer. It's a question for Stanley. Can I ask you if you have involved any real-life presenters, showbiz types in your portrayal of your character, whether there are elements of anybody that you know from TV within your character?
No, not really. I suppose he's like an amalgam of a whole bunch of different people that you see over the years, and not necessarily some presenters, but also just people that you see walking down the street in LA or, Las Vegas or something like that. I don't know, I haven't been to Las Vegas in 25 years, but it's what? It's changed, yeah.
It's a different world out there.
Yeah. I think, imagine if you took somebody like, those guys who, Siegfried and Roy, was that their name, those guys? And I remember the images of those guys with the tan and the teeth and the hair and the, so let's start with that, and then imagine you took like Wayne Newton and an extreme version of Graham Norton, and then like they had a baby, like they all had a baby, which would be impossible because they're all men, and I don't know which one would carry the baby, but anyway, so maybe like that, let's say like that. That was a terrible answer, I'm so sorry.
Good answer. Thank you. Microphone down the front here, then we'll go there and like that.
It's a question for Jeffrey and Sam, as the 2 new guys. I wonder what your experiences were with the first film. Were you already signed on for the franchise at that time, or did you see it and sort of think, well, this is something I really want to be involved in?
Sam?
Okay. I watched the first film as a standalone film. I had no idea it was based on a trilogy of novels, and I remember getting the call to say that I had an audition for, at the time I think it was going under a pseudonym of The Idiom, so I had no idea what that was about. But I just remember there was a character in the scenes I was sent called Katniss Everdeen, so I was like, okay, that rings a bell. I then put Finnick Odair in Google and kind of was overwhelmed by the amount of Wikipedia pages dedicated to him. So I did as much research as I could overnight, and I worked out as much as I could overnight. But basically turned up to the audition with an English accent, very pale, very out of shape, very unlike Finnick, and did the best I could. And so I mean, I was a huge fan of the first film, but generally I thought it was, I thought it was just a one-off, and I thought they did a fantastic job of creating the world and establishing, these characters, and luckily enough, I'm sort of involved in now taking that further and deeper, and I'm obviously privileged and honoured to be here, of course, with these guys.
That's with you, sir.
It's fun. It's good fun.
Once you got the roles, you don't have to put in a lot of prep to get ready?
Yeah, no, there was a huge amount of prep. I know that I'm not the only one who went through that sort of hellish journey. But for me especially, I think I had to go through a huge physical transformation to try and be as Ken-doll as I could. So yeah, there were many months in the gym and many months eating nothing but chicken and asparagus.
I bet your pee smelled horrible.
It wasn't great.
Crazy.
Yeah. I got used to the smell eventually.
That same question was to Jeffrey as well.
Yeah.
About my pee?
No. Yeah. How did you read the series?
Let's get that one, John.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I think Phil Hoffman and I were like, the two people in America who hadn't, seen the movie. We're the only two. I see far fewer movies than I actually, probably should, I guess. So I wasn't fully aware of the phenomenon that, that this thing was. And Francis called me. Francis and I had. He wanted me to work on another of his movies, and it didn't quite work out because of time. And so, he called about this, and I read the script, and I watched the first movie, found it interesting, looked at the script, and realized, after initially, wondering what this thing was about, kids killing kids in a gladiatorial setting, how is that entertainment as a father was a question that I asked myself. But when I read, I realized that there was kind of much deeper allegory going on and really interesting, story behind this. And then my agent called me up and said, and it's bigger than Bond. So, so that got my attention. A very, just pleased to be on board, as Sam said, and I've never really been as excited for audiences to see a movie that I've been a part of than this movie. And I think it's it's because people have such a strong sense of ownership over these stories, and obviously when we step in, Sam and I step in, we don't want to be the mosquitoes at the picnic. We don't want to detract from the experience. We want to try to add to the success, contribute, and hopefully match or surpass people's expectations. So. I was really floored by the movie and seeing it, and so I'm really excited for these fans who have such a voracious appetite for this stuff to take it in, and so I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. A question there, and then we'll come down here.
Phil Penfold from the Yorkshire Post. Stanley, I'm still trying to get my head around your character being the lost spawn of Graham Norton. Can I ask you to develop my colleague's question a little bit further? Where did you find that laugh, which is truly ghastly, but wonderful at the same time?
I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I don't know. It started happening when we first started doing it, and it just
natural laugh.
It's just came to my natural. I laugh my children to sleep. I don't know. It just started happening, and it seemed to be right. And every time I did, said a line or every few lines, that laugh sort of came out. So I wish I could say I took it from this guy, I took it from that person. It was a conscious choice, and I carefully worked on it for months, but I didn't. It just happened.
Thank you. That's a question there, please.
Simon Button, UK Freelance. Question for Josh. We get to see two Peters who's developing over the film. There's a sweet, vulnerable guy, and then there's the kind of the cocky one that gets on camera. As an actor, sort of growing up in the public eye as well, is that something you can relate to? And do you feel you're gaining confidence as a young man?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think that with this world that we've kind of been living in since the Hunger Games and everything, it's very different, and there's definitely the side of yourself that you have to give to the public and to the people, and there's a side of yourself that you keep for yourself. So I definitely identify with having the two sort of versions, but at the same time, I really do feel like I'm myself, and most of the time I'm talking to you guys, so maybe that's all a lie. Maybe this is something to make myself feel comfortable, to know that I have a piece of me that is still for myself. I don't know, yeah, I definitely identify with Peter in so many ways, and I can, what I think is so great about him is he finds a way to use his ability to talk with people and to kind of charm people, so to speak, into liking him in certain ways. So I think that that's something that I can identify with.
You're doing it right now.
Sometimes you sort of regret it.
It's another question.
That's not real.
Sorry.
Hi, Malcolm from We Love Pop magazine. How do you think Harry Styles and Justin Bieber would fare. Obviously, you guys are a bit like Panen's version of rock stars. How do you think our pop stars would cope in the Hunger Games?
In the arena?
Yeah.
Well, probably what everybody does and just die. Most of us in the arena just die. It's a hard world in the arena.
I think they would probably do that very well.
Yeah.
Probably die very well.
Yeah. They die a good death. Very well sung death. Yeah. It sounds almost like X-Files, by the way, we found out today.
Oh, yeah.
The Hunger Games tone is almost like X-Files.
Instead of whistling.
But yeah, no, I think...
Back to the question.
I don't, it depends who they're up against, really.
Yeah.
Each other.
If they're up against...
Okay, yeah, so Justin Bieber versus Harry Styles in the Hunger Games.
Ooh, tough. Oh, I have to go with Harry Styles because he's English.
Okay,
but,
good choice.
Me too.
it's a biased decision.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. A question over there on the other side.
He's the one with the floppy hair.
Of course.
The one with the floppy
Hi,
hair.
I'm Olivia Buxton, freelance writer. Josh and Liam, can I ask how you got in shape for the role? And is it true that the director wanted to man kind of Peter up a bit more?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think that naturally the manning of PETA happened with the story. I really do think that you kind of see him evolve from this sort of very vulnerable, sensitive baker into a young man with a very complex situation on his hands. I think that the world that he's kind of forced into makes him grow up just because of the situations. I think that and Catching Fire, his relationship with Katniss kind of evolves a lot, and you really get to see a lot more of the inner workings of that and their character dynamics. But no, I think that it wasn't just a director choice, it was just a natural thing that happens with the story, is a coming of age in a certain way.
And how did you actually get in shape for the role? Did you have to?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really, I didn't do a whole lot for the second movie. For the first movie, I kind of put on some weight and was working out and eating a bunch of chicken and stuff, no asparagus. I didn't want my pee to smell weird. But I definitely, I sort of maintained that from the first to the second. And the second one, it was very physical, especially the part in Hawaii that we shot, which was all in the games. And it kind of felt like the shooting of itself was actually our working out. Liam?
Yeah, I did kind of the opposite to you. I was losing weight.
Well, the thing is, you had to change your hair color to dark. I had to change my hair color to light. You had to lose weight. I had to gain weight.
Should have just swapped
We
characters.
should just swap characters. Much easier.
Is that a question over there, please? Thanks.
Charlie from Bliss Magazine. Obviously, you did have to do quite a lot of physical stuff in the film. What do you do when you stop filming? Do you just get to have a cup of tea and sit down and lounge around and eat cake, or just go there?
Yeah, pretty much.
I like to do exercise afterwards. I feel like some of the time you stand around a lot on set. You get a little sluggish, and I feel like I have to go and expel energy after work. Go and smash things and that kind of stuff.
Question down the front here, please. Can I set up any other ones? Maybe break time for two more.
No more questions.
There's one there.
Sophie from Yahoo, this one's for Liam. You get a bit of screen time on this film. So what was it like for you to take more of a backseat role?
It's a lot easier. Sit back and watch everyone else do the work. I have some great stuff with Jennifer in this film. I feel very lucky to work with someone like her and someone like Francis Lawrence as well. He's one of my favourite directors I've ever worked with, and he's such an intelligent person. And in this film, you get to see more of the fight and the fire inside Gale. And he's a really passionate guy. He cares about this situation that he's in, and he's kind of sick and tired of watching his people go through it. So he fights back a little more in this one.
Thank you. Another question at the back there? Shout it out. We'll another microphone.
Well, Mr. Tucci and Mr. Wright are both well-established actors. Do you have guiding principles as to what movies you choose for what you're offered?
Guiding principles. I just try to choose ones that are going to be good. That's probably
big question.
Do the best you can.
That's the trouble. Is you don't know going into a movie. You have a very good script and a very good. I'll get it. a very good director. You can have a wonderful cast, and the movie just might not come together for whatever reason. The way everyone imagined it would. And sometimes the opposite happens. No one is talented, and the movie is incredibly good. But, I don't know, it's hard. I think that sometimes
Do you have an example of that kind
what?
of film?
Yes, I was in a lot of them, yeah. Sometimes you take a movie for the role, sometimes you take a movie for the director, sometimes you take a movie for the location. Sometimes you take a movie for the money. I've heard that some people have done that. No one at this table.
We've got time for one last question if there's one. Is there a last question? No, I'll ask one final one. A question for those who made the last film as well and returned to the series. So a question for Liam, for Josh and for Stanley. Thinking of the making of this film, someone mentioned Francis Lawrence, new director on the film. What differences have you said there were in the actual making of the film, the shooting, compared to the last one? For those of you that were on it before.
Well, it's interesting because really on the first movie we had such an incredible dynamic with the cast and the crew and Gary and everyone. So coming back to do it again was very exciting in a lot of ways. A little nervous just about having a new director. Losing Gary was hard because really we all loved him so much and he created such a great world and Francis stepped in and not only stepped in and kind of took over the world and enhanced the world that Gary created, but also the craziness that is the set that we created as actors. Was pretty maymatic and full of nonsense, and he jumped right into it and really held his own and guided us all in a great way. So there were times where I was definitely nervous about it, but once we were all on set, it was really great to return for me.
Yeah, he's a really patient guy too. He
Yeah,
deals with a lot of crazy people, good people, but crazy. But he's honestly one of the most well-researched directors I've ever worked with. I mean, any time I have a disagreement with him about something, which is hardly ever, but
which was once.
Once. But by the end of the conversation, he's always right. He really knows what he's talking about, and he knows your character, knows where your character's going, he knows every part of the story. So you feel very trusted in him.
Excellent. I'm going to bring things to a close. Thanks all five of you for a terrific movie. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.